Okay, so I am super excited that you guys have joined us tonight. I am excited that Beth and I have teamed up to do this training for you guys, and we are going to be talking about retention. And so retention is something that I think is super important for us to really be thinking about in our businesses. And one thing that I've really learned is the importance really lies in being proactive instead of being reactive. So a lot of times we think of retention as something that happens when people stop their products and we want to try and fix that situation. They're not happy with their products. They're maybe not seeing the results that they want, and they've stopped their products for a while, and we want to try to keep them happy. And one of the things that's going to be super important as we're learning tonight is really thinking about it in terms of being proactive and not reactive, or really looking at prevention and some of those things that we can do to set our businesses up for success and to set our customers and ambassadors up for success from the beginning, so that we are kind of preventing that issue from happening in terms of being unhappy with products or wanting to stop their products for a while. And so that's really why talking about retention is important. And you'll realize that a lot of what we're going to talk about is really setting yourselves up from the beginning in terms of how you are talking to people, how you're approaching them, things you're doing from the start rather than responding when they are unhappy. And so if you have a pen and paper, take notes. We have some different points to talk about. Beth and I are each going to be sharing different things, different tips and different aspects of retention. And so Beth is going to talk about one of the first key factors in retention, which is relationship.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, so relationships. For all the things that I am, I'm yellow, I'm an introvert, I'm a therapist by trade, I'm a social worker, all of those things. I've taught sociology for several years. So relationships are kind of like very present in my world and what I do and what I know. And so like I know because of my work and what I do, like relationships are vital to humanity. Like we are human because we have relationships. It keeps us, it gives us a sense of belonging. It helps us thrive. Like relationships are key in life, and relationships are also key in this business. Like you don't have a business if you're not building relationships. And so they are so important. And so I just want to talk a little bit about that and how to create those and how to continue them even beyond recruitment. Because I think a lot of times when we're approaching people, we're reaching out, we're cold messaging, or we're following up with messages, or we're reaching into our warm market, or we have people in our funnel, whatever it is, we're doing that and we're building relationships with them. So we're trying to create a connection and we're building trust as a part of that connection. And I think sometimes once we have a person, say, okay, yes, I'm in, I'm doing it, and they sign on, then we kind of flip the switch and our connection changes and our responses change to them. And the sense of that relationship shifts. And so I think that it's really important in talking about retention that we talk first about relationships, because that is what's going to keep people along for the ride with you, really. So I think that it's important to recognize that people want and need to be valued. People need to know that they are important to you, that they have a place in your life, that you really care about them, that it's more than just getting them to do this thing so that you get a paycheck. It's really more than that, that you see them as a human being, as a person that has value, and that you want to help bring more value to their life, that you have something to offer them that's going to bring value to them, that it's not just about what you can get from them. When we have somebody join us, I think that's really a clue that we've done something to connect with them. Whenever a person joins you in this, they're saying basically, I trust you and I'm along for the ride with you. I'm going to do this. And so we've done something to connect with them, we've met them where they are, and we've built up that level of trust. And I think that it's important to recognize that is a precious commodity. And that's something that we need to handle with care, that we need to remember, okay, they've joined me, they trust me, and now I have a duty to them to make sure that I'm meeting their needs and helping them meet their goals. The only reason someone joins you is you. And you'll hear that over and over and over. And it's so true. It is so true. The only reason someone joins you is you. They've trusted you. They believe you. They're along for the ride with you. If we immediately shift that focus away from that personal connection and that relationship, that trust kind of falls away. So then it becomes only about business, or it's only about your expectations of them. Okay, now you're level 1, so you're going to do this, 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 you're going to do this. We kind of send all those expectations out there, and we forget that, oh yeah, this is still a person that I care about, that I believe has value, and that I need to bring value to as well. So it sometimes can be a tricky thing to balance, but I think it's really important to remember that, okay, yes, they've joined you, and so you have responsibilities of information that you need to share, but that doesn't mean that your relationship is now only about Plexus. Their life is not only about Plexus. Your life is hopefully not only about Plexus. Hopefully you've got some other stuff going on too. And so connecting in those middle grounds is just as important as it is talking about the business, talking about products, and following up. So continue to remember that yes, they're now a business partner, but they're also still a person who you consider probably to be a friend, and you want to still be a friend to that person. So I think this is something that, I think sometimes we forget, but people are people and deserve to be seen as people, no matter the circumstance, no matter what's going on around you. And I think if you remember that, and you remember to see people as people, treat them as people, put yourself in their shoes, practice some empathy and some kind of sitting where they might be, remembering how you felt when you first started, remembering how confusing some of this might be, how scary some of it might be, and meeting them where they are, I think goes a long way. So we'll talk more about this, but I think if we're investing in others to bring value to them, then our goal is to help them reach their goals. And their goals should really be our focus. And so if we're tuned in to who they are and what they value and what their goals are, their health goals, their life goals, their personal goals, their relationship goals, then we're talking to them as a whole person, and we're helping them along the way. We're becoming a part of one another's journeys. And so we're meeting them where they are in that sense. And we're building up a connection that kind of goes beyond Plexus, but Plexus is a part of that. So I think just don't forget to continue connecting with people about life, about their interests, about their goals, about other stuff in their world. Certainly we have a responsibility to connect about Plexus, but that shouldn't be the only thing that we're connecting about, even once a person has joined our team. I think it's also important to remember that the reality is you're going to lose people along the way. Even if you do everything right, even if you follow relationship, standards all the way, you're probably going to lose somebody along the way. And sometimes you just say, I love you, and you're free to go, because ultimately you can't make anyone do anything. You want to show them the value of what you have to offer. You want to connect with them as a person and keep them, as a person in your life. But if Plexus is not for them and they decide that, then our job is just to respect that and say, okay, go on. And I'll still be here if you change your mind. And I think sometimes too, it's just as important to continue connecting with those people as it is people who continue to be active on your team as well. So just because somebody walks away from Plexus, don't just end that connection there either, because things change, seasons change, lives change, and that could still be an opportunity for a person to come back. So that's my little bit about relationships. I think they're vital. I think they are so important. And I think if you start there, if that's your foundation, then you set yourself up for really good things. So I'm going to switch it back over to Tracie, and she's going to talk a little bit about expectations.
Yes. So Beth really is exactly right. The relationship really is the core foundation in the entire process. But there are some things to do to have better success and better, like we said, preventing that kind of drop off from happening. And one other tip that I have is about expectations. And so really setting up those expectations beforehand. And so throughout the whole process, from posting on Facebook to following up in messages to then when you're closing and signing them up and setting them up, really having those realistic expectations with people, having those expectations about the importance of that long-term vision, in terms of that it's going to take 60 to 90 days to maybe even longer for people to really see the results that they're looking for and to really see those long-term health benefits. Being really upfront and really honest about the fact that Plexus is not a quick fix product. It's not a weight loss program. It's not a diet program. And so, those are a lot of the things that when I'm messaging people, especially when I'm asking them about their health goals, and if they mention anything about weight loss or, wanting to lose weight, things like that, that is always one of those things that I mention to them because I want to be upfront before they even sign up so that they know that going into it. So if you're really upfront and honest about that, it really sets up those expectations and really gives people kind of that long-term picture of, if they're expecting to see these big results within 30 days, Plexus may not be the right products for them. If they're wanting to, lose 20 pounds in a month so that they can fit into their wedding dress or different things like that. Sometimes there are those expectations that people have. And so really being upfront with that at the beginning. Even before you get to the one-on-one conversation, thinking about when you're posting on Facebook, there are so many great testimonies that have a weight loss aspect in them. And, to be very honest, I try as hard as I can to avoid those posts or to avoid posts that really have to do with a weight loss aspect, only because I really want people to have that expectation that it's not about weight loss. There are some great testimonies that have a weight loss aspect, or somebody that, is sharing about the fact that they can fit into their clothes or that they've lost a couple pounds. But really what I would say is if you're posting about that, really making sure that you're tying in the healthy aspect of it and the fact that, you've lost weight because you've gotten your gut healthy, because you've reduced your inflammation, or just different things like that. Making sure that those expectations are there from the very beginning. A lot of times I will be upfront with people if they're thinking about signing up. And I'm talking to them about the cost, or I'm talking to them about the products, and I kind of say, you really want to be willing to give it 90 days. We have a 60-day money-back guarantee for a reason, but even thinking about it longer than that, and I basically kind of ask them for that commitment up front. They don't have to be committed to that, but then I kind of say, signing up for wholesale may not be necessarily the best thing. Maybe you just want to be a customer for now, try it out. But even letting them know that you may not see the big results that you're looking for within 60 to 90 days. So, or within 30 days, you need to give it 60 to 90 days. So setting up those expectations all throughout the process, from when you're posting to when you're one-on-one messaging people to when finally you're closing, you're getting them signed up, and even then when you're going through that welcome process, setting up those expectations are really important. As I kind of talk about, that next step of really setting them up for success once they have signed up and are getting ready to start their products, that's another key point at which you can really help to be proactive about retention. So Beth is going to talk about that next.
Okay, so you've built a foundation with a relationship. You've given them kind of some expectations. They've decided that they're ready to start. They order their products, and now here we go. It's time to go. So getting them set up for success involves, a few steps, and it is our responsibility to make sure that they get off to a good start. Because if they don't get off to a good start, they're not going to see the results that they're hoping for. Their goals are not going to be met, and they're not going to stick with us long term. So we know that water, consistency in taking products, giving it enough time, and following kind of this slow schedule to start helps get those things off on the right foot. So we want to make sure that we're talking to people about how much water they're drinking, letting them know that it takes quite a bit of water, up to half their body weight, 100 ounces a day. That's a lot of water. And some people are not used to drinking that much water. And so giving them helpful tips to how to get that in, following up with them, how'd you do on your water today? How is it going? What is that like for you? Tell me your frustrations. It's okay to talk about your frustrations. I think also giving people permission to tell you that they don't feel good is important, because sometimes people don't feel good whenever they start. And they need to know that if they start to feel bad, they can come to you and tell you that. Otherwise, they're going to start to feel bad and think, this is not working and I don't know what to do about it, so I'm just going to stop taking these products and I'm never going to answer her again. So we need to let them know in advance expectations that you might have some hiccups. It might not all feel good, but that means that it's working, and this is what that means. And we're going to talk about die-off, and we're going to talk about Herxheimer reaction, and we're going to talk about ways to kind of handle that. And so setting them up for success means that you're giving them that information, that you are following up regularly. I have some people, whenever they start, that I check in every day. Hey, did you get your products in today? Tell me what your dosage was today. How much water have you had to drink today? Really helping them stay consistent, because it's a big change for a lot of people to add in supplements, to be aware of their health, to be conscious of what they're putting into their bodies. That's a big change for some people, and it can be very difficult. And so it is our responsibility, if we are going to help them meet their goals, that we follow up on that and that we help them do it in a way that is going to be good for them and help their bodies along the way. So I like to always give my people, whenever they sign up, I like to send them a little schedule for introducing products. And so if you haven't seen one of those, or if you don't have one of those, let Tracie or me know, and we can make sure that you get one. There are several different versions, and I think sometimes it can be confusing if you see so many different versions. But the reality is, you just need to help people start slow, and you need to help them stay consistent. And that is the key. So people have different ideas about when to take what and how to take it, but if you are walking them through that process, you're helping them kind of be attuned to their body, to know what's happening in their body, and monitor and adjust as needed. And so that is your job. You're walking with them through the beginning to make sure that they are going to make it through that period that could be very rough, that they are going to learn to take these at a regular time, on a regular basis, and be consistent with them. That you're helping them change their schedule and their bodies, and you're helping them adjust to that along the way. And that goes back to that relationship piece, because if you've built that foundation, then you can have a conversation with somebody about poop, and it's not so awkward, and you can do that, and that's very helpful. So that kind of all ties back into that relationship piece. I think it's important to remind them that this isn't going to be an overnight fix. This is not a 21-day program. This is not, kind of an all of a sudden, well, I took one ProBio 5, so I should be, down to a size 2. That's not how this works. Our bodies didn't get out of whack overnight. They're not going to get back in line overnight either. So we've got to listen to what's happening. We've got to pay attention to the changes that we're feeling. And we've got to celebrate the small victories along the way. And I think that is very important. Sometimes people don't realize that they're having success until you start asking those questions, and Tracie's going to talk more about that. But until you start helping them see that, oh, like this is different, and that is a big deal. And oh, this is different, and that is a big deal. And so really reminding them that it's gonna take time. It's gonna be a process to get things sorted out. Another thing that can really help set people up for success is talking about the convenience order. And the thing about the convenience order is that it's convenient, and it's meant to be convenient. Subscription services are all the rage right now. I mean, you can order food in a subscription service. You can order razors. You can order clothes. You can have I mean, like air filters, everything. You can get anything on a subscription service. You can set your bills to auto draft so you don't have to think about it. And so the thing about the convenience order is it's meant to be convenient. It's meant to be one less thing that you have to think about, one less thing that you have to remember. Your job is to remember to take your products, and then your convenience order is going to make sure that they come to you again when you're ready for them. And so if we approach it that way, then it's not such a big deal. It's not this big scary thing. It's not like we're making someone commit to doing this. We've already had the commitment talk, and this is just a piece that flows into that. Now we're going to make sure that you don't ever run out of your products, because whenever you're getting started and you're feeling really good, the last thing we want is for you to be a week without them in the middle of this period where you're really trying to see a difference. So it's not a big deal. It helps ensure success for them, certainly, because they have their products coming regularly, but for you as well. It helps ensure success in your business and longevity in your business as well. So that's all kind of a puzzle and pieces that work together, but I think it's really important, and I think it's a responsibility of ours whenever we bring people into this, that we do our best to help them be successful. And I think those are some good steps to take to get there.
Awesome. Thank you. It's so true. And so Beth kind of talked about some of those questions, and asking the right questions, and really, kind of the next step in the process after, the relationship, setting the expectations, setting them up for success by giving them, all the information they need to start off right. But then also helping to problem solve. And with that is asking very specific questions, can really help to prevent somebody from wanting to stop. And so some examples of some questions that I ask, even if somebody is feeling okay, or let's say that they haven't even mentioned anything about not feeling great or wondering if this is normal, asking them specific questions. I used to, when I first started, I would ask, how are you feeling? Or how's everything going? And even I would try, I'm supposed to ask about water. Are you drinking enough water? All of those questions are pretty vague. And of course, somebody is going to say like, yep, I'm working on my water. I'm trying to drink enough water. Well, you would just think, okay, they must be doing fine. Or when you ask them a question like, how are you feeling? A lot of times people just say, I'm doing good. Or you might even get a great. Which is fantastic. But then when they start maybe not feeling so good, they might just be like, I'm doing okay. They maybe don't know to go into specifics. And so here, there are a lot of very specific questions that you can ask. And obviously you don't want to bombard them with a lot of questions, but some of the initial questions I like to ask when people are getting started, something like, how's your body responding to the products? I love that question because it leaves it pretty open-ended to either be, I'm starting to kind of feel like my stomach doesn't feel so good, or like I'm kind of having a headache, or to where like, wow, I got a great night's sleep last night, or I noticed I wasn't craving snacks like after dinner. So that leads into really them thinking about what their body is telling them, either that they might be going through some detox, or they're having some positive changes, or both. So asking them how their body is responding, or even just getting to how's your body feeling on the products, rather than how are you feeling. Depending on their response, asking them specifically, how much water are you drinking? And then of course, that's always that if they say 84 ounces a day, that's kind of that awkward, I don't know how much you weigh, but I want to make sure that you're drinking at least half your weight in ounces of water. So, checking in with them and even just asking them flat out, is that half your weight in ounces? And a lot of times if somebody's starting to feel detox or die-off symptoms, I'll let them know, half your weight in ounces is a minimum. So if you're having some headaches, you might want to start increasing that. So doing kind of those problem solving is going to be really helpful. Asking them, when are you taking your products? What are your dosages? A lot of times I'll get to a certain point, especially as, if I've given them the schedule of how to take their products, maybe I'm walking them through each time that they are increasing their dosage. you get to a certain point where you're not kind of walking them through the dosages anymore. So checking back in, if somebody's in their second month, well, what are your dosages? They may still just be at the 4 BioCleanse and 2 ProBio 5s, and they didn't know that, wow, they've been having, they haven't been going to the bathroom, or maybe they're going to the bathroom too much. So working with them on changing up their dosages, asking them when they're taking their products. How are you taking your products? What's your daily schedule? Because maybe they've been taking their products, they haven't been taking BioCleanse in between meals. Or maybe, like one thing I found is with accelerators, sometimes people are feeling nauseous when they take it. Well, you need to be taking that with food to prevent nausea. So finding out some of those questions, asking them how often they're going to the bathroom. That is a really important question, especially if somebody is kind of feeling not so great on the products. And especially if you're thinking about helping them adjust their dosages, that can give you some good insight on, if they're drinking their water, if they're going to the bathroom, on what adjustments you need to make. With adjustments in products, this is something that do not feel like you have to do this on your own. We have so many good resources, and Beth will tell you, I still to this day will message her about, I have this person going through detox, what should I do? I'm getting better because I'm now saying, I'm thinking about telling them this. Is this what you would do? Or should I have them do this? But we are your resources. We are here to help you go through that and help figure out. And honestly, a lot of those questions are questions that if you come to us and are wanting our help, those are things we're going to ask. Well, how much water are they drinking? Well, what are their dosages? How are they taking things? And those are all those good questions that are really going to help us kind of problem solve and figure out where people are at with their products and how they're taking it. So really asking those questions. One thing too that I like to tell people, especially in getting them started and kind of setting those expectations and setting them up for success, is letting them know, like, I'm going to be coaching you through this. Like, I'm going to be helping you as you go through, so that communication, letting them know that communication is an expectation, so that you checking in all the time isn't this, why is this girl doing this? Or they kind of, like Beth was saying, you have that, you're giving them that permission to come to you with those problems and to really help problem solve, because you want to help them, you want to build them up for success. So just to kind of recap some of the things that we've talked about in the whole process of retention, building the relationship, setting the expectations, setting them up for success on how to take their products, and then also helping them problem solve and asking those questions are super important. As Beth had kind of said, to kind of wrap things up and close, the reality is, we won't be able to prevent everybody from stopping. And there are going to be people that even though we set up those expectations and we told them, they still have that expectation of having these big results. We can only control our part, and, our goal is to help them with their goals. And so I know a lot of times we know, long-term goals, we talk about gut health. We know gut health is a process, and sometimes people just aren't there. We know that their body needs triplex, but all they want to do is lose weight. And so we know that triplex ultimately long-term is going to be exactly what they need. But they may not have that picture. And so helping them get to those goals, and building that relationship, helping them to build belief in the products and educating them along the way. We may have to start small. We may have to start by helping them reach some of those goals first, even though we may have bigger goals for them. And so that's kind of what we wanted to share with you tonight. Beth, did you have anything else that you wanted to add to close? Okay, so I am going to stop the recording.